Hello, my name is Dr. Helmut Munz. What we are doing right now is we check out play design with Unity. Okay, and this will be the first introduction to the Unity, to the real-time game development engine Unity. Yes, so you can check that out, Unity, make this bigger. Unity.com is the website. You can explore the website, see what the propositions are, what Unity is used for. We're gonna be looking into that. Unity is one of the two most popular, most well-known real-time development platforms there exist today. The other one is Unreal Engine. Unity and Unreal, they have the share. They are used both for real-time development, to create interactive installation games, etc. They have a slightly different target audience and user cases. For us, we choose Unity in this course because it's very flexible and very lightweight. So you can use it on laptops that don't need to have very crazy specs, and you can publish on very different platforms. These two things make Unity very attractive for us in this course. Okay, let's go back to the slides. What we're gonna do today, what we're gonna trying to do when we want to get our hands on Unity. First, we're gonna try to open it, have it run. The situation is the following: we are at RMIT on campus. Okay, where is Unity? How can we open it? And B, the most likely case and the case we need to wrap our head around is how can we get it to run and install on our own computers at home. So you on your computer at home, you on your laptop at home. How does that work? Okay, after that we can explore Unity's user interface, the different windows, what they're used for. Then we look into scene navigation, game objects. Today we're gonna need to understand what game objects are, and then those general things like lights, materials, how to import assets, can we have animation in Unity, and how is it possible that we can build and run a project? How can we produce a standalone application with Unity? And then at the end there will be a quest for you to look at. All right, so these are the contents. Let's go with Unity. So how you get Unity? So you go to unity.com/download. Okay, and what you're gonna looking for is to download the Unity Hub. Let me get here my magic pencil. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need to do is the Hub. The Hub is software by Unity that manages your Unity installations. Installations because often you have different versions of Unity, different whatnot, and the hub manages the versions, the login, the licenses, blah blah blah. Okay, so unity.com/download, you will find the download for Windows, for Mac, for Linux, and so on. Okay, this is your first step to download that. Okay, and after you download that, it looks the following. So let's imagine I just downloaded Unity Hub. Let's imagine I log in at RMIT and open Unity Hub. This is how it looks. Okay, you will have in here, we need to figure out three things. The first one is I gonna now log in, okay, with my account. I gonna here up in the top left, I have here, can we open? Yes, so you have here an icon for indicating the profiles, the login profiles. Down below you have project installations and some other blah 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 stuff. So if you don't have an account yet, and you usually don't have one, if you start out with Unity, you're gonna create an account. Okay, that means you sign up with your email address of your choice and so on, and you get a free Unity account. Okay, doesn't cost anything, doesn't take much time. You're gonna sign up with your email address, your RMIT email address or whatever, and then you can sign in. Okay, so in here, in Unity, I happen to be logged in online and I sign in, and now I'm signed in. Okay, and now I can solve the following: that I get here an error message that you see. Oh no, no active license. To create an open project, you need an active license. Okay, so the next thing is I'm gonna figure out the licenses. And what I get here the manage license. And I click on that, and that throws me into the preferences. And on the licenses, I add one. Okay, so what I'm gonna choose here is I'm gonna choose a free personal license. Unity is free, doesn't cost you anything. There are not really considerable differences between the free and a non-free version. You can use Unity for free as long as you don't start to earn money above, I think it's $100,000. Okay, so you get a personal edition license. You agree with the requirements, and then you got it. Okay, now I have the license in there on my installation here on my hub, and now I start to install. Okay, out of there, and now I go to my installations here in the Unity hub, and so that means you have different Unity versions, and you have here the install editor, and you can select those. We have at RMIT, let me get that. At RMIT, we're working currently with 2020 LTS. And what LTS means means long-term support. So that means the Unity versions that have LTS are usually those that are super stable. They're not yet new releases, they're not experimental, they're not beta, they're not alpha, they're not delta, they're not omicron. They are the proper release of the Unity versions. In LTS, you should always pick LTS. Yeah. In some cases, when you want to explore the newest features, then you might go with an official release that is higher than that, 2021. So the RMIT, we also have the 2021 release. It's a good release, but it's not yet an LTS. Okay. So for the sake of today, I'm gonna work with 2020 LTS. So so you can find it here. You can install it, and when you install it, let me click here on the 2020. It asks you for a bunch of stuff. Okay, so the first thing it asks you for development tools. Development tools, Microsoft Visual Studio Community. Okay, so what this is, don't worry about what it is. We will explore and talk about it a little bit later. This is an environment in which that allows you to write code. What you need to think about is the platforms for which we want to publish our interactive experience. Okay, so do you want to publish on mobile, on Android, on iOS, on iPhone, on Linux, and so on? For this course, what we're gonna target for is the computer to be able to publish an application that runs on your computer, on your desktop computer or laptop computer. So when you're on Mac, that means it will be the Mac build support. When you're on Windows, that means to enable the universal Windows platform build support. Okay. So depending on if you're Windows, depending on your Mac, you choose accordingly. Also something. Okay. And then you click that and you hit install and it installs itself. Okay. It can take a little bit. It will download a couple of things, but that it is it. Okay. So fast forward. So now you have your installation. Let's repeat those little parts. You got the hub. Check. You got the license check. You got the installation of your Unity version. Should be 2020 2020 LTS. And then we're gonna open a project. That's the last thing to do. So I go into my projects and I create a new project. Now you can select different templates. We're gonna use the 3D one. Test 3D. And the location here, I'm gonna now pick my desktop because I wanna show you what happens when I do that. Okay, so now on my desktop, this is the location where my project gets created. Take a little bit. Unity is thinking a little bit to do all the installations necessary. Installations. The writing, the compiling, the putting together your project, importing packages and elements that are important for our project. In this case, it is a 3D project. Boom. I will now close all the stuff. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'll go up here in the top where it is layout, and I'm gonna click around with those layouts. So let's see. I'm gonna have, oops, 2x3, 4 split, default. Okay, I'm going with the default. Okay, so my default, how Unity looks with the default layout. We can see the following elements. We can see here the scene window. We can see the hierarchy window. We can see the project window, this area, and then we have here this area, the inspector window. Okay, let's see. And also then later it will be important that down here is also the console. At the beginning this is not so important, and we also see that here next to the scene it doubles up as the game window. It's also not important yet what that is, to show you that. So let's see what happens. In my hierarchy, all the things that are in my scene, and right now I can see 2 elements. I can see here this sun symbol and a camera symbol, and I can see on the left that in my hierarchy, these are the things that exist in my scenes. The things I can see in my scene window are represented and outlined in my hierarchy. And the moment I click those things in my scene or in my hierarchy window, the inspector does things, changes. So the relationship between scene and hierarchy window is that they're identical. While the scene shows you visually how things are represented in your project, and your hierarchy is the listing of all the elements, all the game objects that exist in your scene, right? And in the moment you select your stuff either in the hierarchy or in the scene, the inspector shows you the details of those elements, of those game objects, as we call them. Oh yeah. And what is the project window doing? All the stuff relevant for your project. I don't have a lot of things here, but these are collected in the project window down here. Okay, so let's see the camera. Okay, so I select the camera. I can look in the inspector. I can see the name of the camera that I can change. I go down here and have transformation, properties, position, rotation, scale, all the things that you used to of understanding in common 3D environments. And then you have very specific things that are specific to my game object. The camera here has different things I can play around, okay? And all these blocks here, I can already tell you that all these blocks are called components. The light here is very similar. The light here has, again, also the transformation component, but then it also has a component that's very different and particular to the light. All right, good. So this is the UI, basically. What we have up here is the toolbar. The toolbar is here in the default view. Oh, where the if I get that correct. Yes, it's up there in the left corner. And these are your usual suspect. This is the hand, the pan move tool, the pan tool where you can flip around in the scene. Then you have translation, rotation, scale tools. And then you have the pivot and the local. This is to change how the gizmo operates, also how the translation operates. If it uses the reference of the pivot, that's the local, the pivot of your game objects, how they work globally or local. All right, good. So the shortcuts for those tools are always the same, usually the same that you are accustomed to in other programs. So you have Q, W. Let me switch on my key. What's the name of my key? No, I don't know it. Okay, so on your keyboard, Q, W, E, R. Q, W, E, R. Okay. W is for moving things. So you can see here your gizmo changes. So now change the camera translation. E, I have the rotation gizmo. I can rotate my thing. And then I have the scaling with R for it. Okay, so these are the shortcuts for translation tools that we have. Okay, also good to know F. If I have F to an element, I hit F on my keyboard, I zoom in, I focus on it. F is for focus. All right, yeah, also maybe good to know is your mouse. What do I do? Middle mouse click is panning around, or Q. The same thing I do with Q. Pan around. Right mouse click is me rotating around the scene view, and then with my wheel mouse, with my wheel of my mouse, I can zoom in or out. I can also access that with Alt. I click Alt, and left click is rotating around. Alt and middle mouse click is panning around. Alt and right mouse click is zooming in and out. Okay, so get comfortable with that. Get comfortable with the shortcuts, moving things around. With moving, with rotating, with scaling. It doesn't do anything in this case. With navigating, moving around here, rotating around here, zooming around in here. Okay, get comfortable with how that works in Unity. Yes, you can change those things, but just get used to it in your default way. And then what's next? Game objects. Okay, let's get some stuff in here. Yeah, let's get some stuff in here. Stuff. Let's talk about stuff. Stuff are called game objects. Any objects that you have in your game are called game objects. Okay, so can you see here, up here, you can see game objects, and here they are hidden. They're also hidden if I go in my scene and right click. No, I'm wrong. Why am I wrong? Or I go right click into my project window. I also can see create, and I have a lot of stuff that I can create. And yeah, so let's start with game objects. Let's create some game objects. Create empty. What did I do? It's an empty game object. The empty game object has all it has is a gizmo, and I see on the inspector, yeah, that only has a transformation component. Child. Okay, so this is the parenting relationship. I can move parent things into other things, which is the same logic as you know in when you parent layers, when you parent layers in After Effects, when you parent elements in Blender, and so on and so on. Okay, so it creates a dependency, a parenting relationship between parent and child. Okay, these are just for organizational purposes. And now let's have a look at the 3D objects, the cube. Okay, and now created a cube, a sphere, a capsule, a plane, and so on. Okay, so maybe let's start. I'm gonna now start. This is my floor, my plane floor. That means I'm gonna scale it up like a little bit crazy. So it just looks like I'm having floor. Then I'm gonna click on my elements here. I'm gonna lift them above the floor. Yeah, maybe I also gonna scale and move a little bit this cube around. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna have this cube also. So it gets a little bit blown out. So I can see it all kind of disappears in white. So should we go into more game objects? No, let's forget that. Okay, let's maybe dive into the light. Okay, so the lightness is explored as here we have here a directional light. And I'm gonna just delete this. And the moment I delete my light from the scene, it gets a little bit dark. And you can see there's some sort of background dome. It looks like an HDR. That is kind of an horizon sky box around my scene by default. And that is attached to my camera. When I look at the camera, I can see that my camera has a skybox in there. Okay, so this light, this thing is coming from there. So now let's go and game object and create some little bit light. So I'm gonna have a directional light. And what happens with the directional light? I'm rotated, and all I do is like the sun, it's infinite. It doesn't matter where I put it, the placement is meaningless. All that matters is the direction from which it comes. And yes, I can change the color into greenish, yeah, whatever. I can change the intensity, and so on. Okay, I can also have here a different other kinds of lights, like for example point light. And I can see here I have some controls indicating how far they go. Let's see, what can we do here? Maybe get reddish red. And you can see here, this light here has an influence. So I get this gizmo controls around there where I control how far this light extends, the intensity with which it burns, and so on. Okay. Let's get another one. Another Let's give a spotlight. Okay, so all of these things should be basically are familiar to you. These are very the default primitives in 3D that you are familiar with most. Let's see, what can I do here? The intensity. Maybe let's make this green. And let's see what I need to do in order for it to show up. Okay, so now I have, you get the idea. Okay, so the point light goes in all directions equally, like a sphere going out until it stops. Eventually, it's a fade off. Direction light is infinite. The size of where it is doesn't matter. It's all the direction matters. The spotlight works like a spot, so it projects the intersection of a sphere like a circle on places. Okay, these are the basic things. So these are lights. Next, maybe let's explore a little bit materials. So you can see materials. Let's see, can I do this up here? Okay, so I said, so let's explore the project window down here a little bit more. Okay, so in my project is all the stuff that it's the project needs. Things like assets, things that I import from other places show up in my project. My scene shows up in my project. What happens when I click on my scene? Yes, my scenes are in my projects. My textures that I use in there are in my project, but also materials. So now I'm here in my project. I right click and can create many things. And I'm gonna click on material. Now created a material, whatever, say that a material. And now my inspector gives me some things I can look at too. First I can change the shader. I will not touch that. I will just leave that as a default. What is a shader? Shader is a program that manages how something responds to light. Okay, and within this shader properties, I now have those material properties that I usually know. Okay, so albedo is responsible for the color. Change that. The metallicness, how light is reflected, how much it looks more like plastic, diffused light, or very sharp reflections like metallic is managed here. I can also load in textures here, which I will not bother at the moment. And yeah, we'll stop here. Okay, so all I gave it is a basic color. And now I can drag and drop that into my scene. Okay, so I can just, now I will drag it over the big sphere I have. Let me make a new material. B1. I'm gonna change the color to whatever. Yellowish? Yeah, maybe yellowish. All right. No, it's moving. Yeah, whatever. Throw it on the ground. I have a yellow material. Again, I make a new material. Now I'm gonna change the shader into something unlit. Okay, let's see what's color. So I now have an unlit color. How's that going to look? Let's get like a blue. So what I have now is a unlit material, a material that just ignores any light going on. It doesn't respond to light, doesn't do any shadows whatsoever. It's just plain pure blue without it changing depending on angle or whatever. Okay, good. So these are the basic idea behind materials. Yeah, we can go a little bit detailed, but it's enough for the basic introduction. Okay, importing assets. Okay, so first thing we look at, I want to look into what if you have stuff. Okay, so yeah, maybe this is an important part now here. The important part is how to think a little bit about Unity. And Unity, you should not think about Unity in terms of being a software with that you use to create objects, to design objects. You're not using Unity in order to create images. You're not using Unity to create 3D objects, 2D objects. You don't do it, okay? Yes, you have some abilities in which you can use Unity to model, to create images, to create animations, but usually don't think of Unity as software which you design the content. Unity is more a software. Think about it as an authoring software. It's a software in which you bring together things you made somewhere else. And what you do within Unity, the pure power of Unity is unfolded when you think about the interaction, when you think about the relationship between elements, what happens when. That is the power of Unity. Okay, this is when you manage the real-time interactive behavior of Unity. So most likely, usually, that you create your things outside of Unity and bring it into Unity. Okay, so let's look at that. Because what you quickly see that the modeling abilities, the animation abilities of Unity are very, very limited. Because it's not what you use Unity for. Okay, so let's say you have Blender here, and let's make a quick animation, a 3D animation in Blender, and that we're gonna throw into Unity. And what can you throw from Blender to Unity? The number one thing you'd use are polygons. Okay, you can model polygons that you can texture, that you can animate, and can throw them into Unity with the FBX format. FBX. Oops. You can also use OBJ, but if you use animations, use FBX. That's a flexible box. I have no idea what it stands for, but that's what we're gonna use for, okay? And so you can use polygons that have polygon deformation animation on top of them, due of being animated with the translation properties, or with being rigged. And you can import them with the rig, and you have animations because you rig them, okay? Blend shapes are possible, but it's a little bit more complicated, okay? So the standard thing of what you use, create in other 3D softwares, is that you have made polygon models and polygon-based animations. So I'm gonna just a simple cube, and this very simple cube I just gonna animate. Yeah, okay, good. I'm gonna animate. Okay, it goes up, up, down. Goes up, down, and then we're gonna And boom. Okay, so what we have here, we have here a cube, goes up, goes down, rotates around, done. Okay, so I have one cube and I put two animations after another on the same cube. So let's get that out. So I have the cube selected. I'm gonna say File, Export, and I can see here, boom, FBX. And I click that. And now FBX asks me where to save it and whatnot. And to make sure, bake animation is enabled. This needs to happen, otherwise your animation will not show up. There's a default, it's enabled. Okay, I didn't touch anything. You can double check, bake animation is enabled. Okay, desktop, I'm gonna call this now the cube test and export. Okay, so how do I get that now into my Unity? Very simple. And I want to show you what happens when I do that. I have here my desktop. I have here the cube test animation FBX. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is I drag that into my my project window. Boom, now it is here. So what happened behind the scenes? Yes, okay, good. So I'll show you what happened. What Unity did, I dragged that from the Explorer into Unity, and what Unity secretly did in the back was it copied it into its project folders. So I show you that. Here, test 3D. This is the folder where Unity, the Unity project lives on my computer. I go in there and I have a couple of folders. I look at assets. Assets is the name for the things that you call, that you bring in from other places. These are your references. And I look in my assets and I can see all this stuff, the materials I created. And I can also see this cube test. The cube test FBX. So Unity copied that in there. Okay, so this is now my, if I want to make changes to this FBX, I open this FBX, changes, and then it would automatically change in Unity. Okay, so that's where it lives. It lives inside the folders. So if I want to copy, if I want to move my project to another place, I move this folder around. You know, I move this folder around, or it uploads into the cloud with your Unity account. There's two different ways of doing the same thing, but don't worry about it at the moment. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's see. I have here my cube, and in the inspector I can see this cube is only exists in my project window. It does not exist yet in my hierarchy, in my scene. Okay, so I can see here the preview of it, and I can hit play, and I can see the animation I did in Blender. So I know, yeah. So the FBX are firstly primarily the polygons, the cube, whatever. I could have spent time modeling, whatever, and also B, animation. And now I can cut my animation apart to have multiple animations. So how can I do this? I can see here that I have animation clips. And I have two here already, strangely. Okay, good. So I will here. So you see here that you have clips. And at the end of your word clips, you have start and end and plus and minus. I'm gonna here hit the plus and gonna type in a different frame range. So I know the first one is from 0 to 40, which was my cube up down, and my second one was from 40 to, I think, 80. Yeah, 37. And it was my cube rotate. Okay. So let's see, test that. Cube. No, I mixed it up. It was cube move. Okay. And hit apply. Okay, don't forget to hit apply down here. Okay, let's test it again. The rotate, yes. Good. The move one. Good. Okay. So what I did do, I had like a cube with animation in it, and I cut off the animation based on the frames. From frame A to B, it's the first animation, and so on. Okay, so that if you have a character that does jumping, crawling, dying, whatever, I have those animations to them after another in Blender, and then I go on Unity and cut my different animations apart. Okay, good. So let's throw this cube in my scene. I'm gonna just drag it into here. I'm gonna move it a little bit around. And now I have it. Okay, so let's see if that actually works. And this is now introduces us to this one, the play button. Your scene window doubles up as a game window. And if I hit the play button, something changes. You can see that everything becomes a little bit darker, and your game view, also your view that you had in your games and your scene, changed. And what I now do is I see through the camera. Okay, so where's my camera? See, this is my view of my camera. So I now move the camera around until, oh, where is it? It's all like, let's zero out all the crazy values in my camera. Okay, good. So this was my manage bar. Okay, good. So now I can see my things. Okay, so I can see down here. Oops, I can see down here my preview of my main camera. That helps me to know what's going on when I hit play. And now hit play, I can see exactly that. Okay, so when I hit play, my my camera position becomes the position of the camera that I have in my scene. Okay, but I don't see the animation. You know, I made this cube. I made animation. I cut my animation clips apart, but I don't have the animation on my cube. So why? Why is that? Where is my animation? Okay, so let's talk about animation a little bit. Important assets. Oh no, maybe let's wait for that. Okay, let's do more importing, and then we talk about animation together. What else could I animate? Sorry, what else could I import? I could import classic images, Photoshop. Okay, here I have a Photoshop. Whatever, graphic, okay? Whatever you have in Photoshop. And what I have here is a Photoshop layer with transparency. Okay, so I save that. This has a resolution, whatever. Desktop. Image test. Yeah, sure. So I saved it as PSD. And then I do the same thing here. I have it in my Explorer. I take the image test PST, drop into my project, and now I quickly confirm to see what happened, and look into my assets and can see image test PST. Okay, so what happened? Unity copied it into its own folder, in its own assets folder. Okay, so how do I get this in here? So what could I do? I could drag that in my place. Okay, what happened now? This image from Photoshop became the texture of the cube. Let's do undo. This is not what I wanted. Can I have it somehow exist in this now? And damn, now it became the texture of the ground. Now I want this image to exist in here. And what that means is, so you want to have the image exist by itself, and that is called sprite, which is also a game object, but it's like a plane. It's a plane that has an image texture. Yes. So what can you do with that here? So when I select my image, my Photoshop file in the project window, and I look at my inspector, look at the texture type, I can see here a couple of options. And one of those options is a sprite, a 2D and UI user interface sprite. Yes, let's take that. Okay, now it is a sprite. Remember, I'd like to have this transparency going on. And all I do is here is that alpha is transparency. Okay, it did that for me. I didn't click that. But this is what I check. Okay, look, alpha is transparency. Okay, good, nice. And then something is a little bit odd. Let me get out of the way. Something that's super odd is, don't forget to hit apply. Now it was applied. And now I can see down here the alpha showing up. Okay. Now it moved away, the transparency. Okay. So now let me do this. What will I do now? I drag this here now. I will now throw it into the hierarchy. See, and here it is. Whatever. Now I have this image here, this alpha image. Do I see it from the other side? I'm curious. Yes, I can see it from both sides. Okay. I can do it again. I can do it multiple times. In a moment I see myself reusing the same object again and again and again, I would turn it into a prefab. Should we talk about prefabs? No, not yet. Okay, good. That's later a topic. Don't mind. Okay, so I just use this here. I throw it into here a couple of times. Scale this up. And whatever. Okay, so we imported that. What else can we do? Yes, maybe also a video. For the video, I'm gonna now create a plane. It's gonna be scale that 16 by 9. Oh, that doesn't look like. Why it doesn't look like? Because the no. 16 by 9. This looks square. Yeah, I guess. So yeah, 1.6 and 0.9. Okay, the 16 by 9. Let's move this a little bit. And make this a little bit bigger proportionally. Okay, what does the camera see? Okay, so let's see. I have a video. I have a couple of stupid videos I recorded. Here's one of those. I'm gonna drag that into here. So now my video lives here. I'm gonna just drag that onto the plane. Yes, and what had happened is, maybe undo this. Show my plane. My plane is a, sorry. Okay, my plane has transformation components, blah, blah, blah. But in the moment I drag my video on top of it, it becomes this component video player. And I can loop it. And okay, so let's see. I hit play, see what happens. Okay, let's put it a little bit down. Good, so this is now a video playing. It's the opposite, it's the wrong side up. Do again. Okay, good. So the problem here, okay, so this is, but so I also could import audio, video, images with alpha, 3D object animations. So let's go back to our problem. The animation of our cube is not playing. Let's figure out the next topic, animation. The COVID. Okay, so this is the cube in question that doesn't play. We need to open window and we need to look into the animation. And the animation, we have the animator and then animation. Let's click on animation. What is animation? Animation opens animation window that looks as usually looks. Okay. I gonna now. Oh. I also open the animator. Nothing in here. Okay. So here's the thing. And your animator, so this is our cube, it needs a component, and this is called an animation component. See, it's already suggests to me, if I look for an, What I need to have is the animator. I need to have an animator component on there. I click on that. Now I have an animator in there. Now I can why is that? Okay, good. Let me try that from scratch. So I have here my cube with the clips. I drag that into my scene to a place where I can see it from my camera. No, where is it? Okay. And now in order for it to have animation, you need to look at the components. So it had transform components, cube, mesh render, and whatever, but no animation there. So I can unfold my cube here, and in this cube, it has the animations. And I take them, I'll go back with my cube, and I drag them onto my cube here, and boom. Okay. And the one thing I do here is I enable root motion. The root is the center of it. So if I move it around, I need to enable that. Let's see, hit play. Bingo. Okay. So now I can see the cube animating because it has the animator component in here and the correct animation clip playing in there. And I enable the apply root motion. Okay. So this is now, I enabled it playing the animations that I made in Blender. And let me know, what can I do here? Yeah, maybe I animate the cube here. So I make a complete new animation in Unity. For that, I go now in the window, animation. And the confusing thing is in Unity, you have the animation window and you have the animator. The animation is the window in which you do animations. And before I can make animations here, I need to create an animator for this game object. And I hit create. This is now create me a new animation controller, you can think of it. And it's a type.anim. And I say this is the blue cube, whatever. So I know what it is. And now I can add a property. In this case, transform position. Yes, I'll make a position. And now I can keyframe the position. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna make this go up and down, I guess. And now I animate the position, the Y. It goes down. Okay, let's play this. No, it didn't do anything. I have unfolded here those values. Let's see. Okay, now it's doing that. Okay. So it's finished. Let's see if it works. Yes. Okay. What else? Okay, let's maybe make one last animation. Okay, so what can we animate? What else can we animate? Yeah, let's animate this sphere. Okay, so what do? The first step is I gonna open my animation window that I find in window animation. Okay, now I create an animator. This is my sphere. And in this animator, now I'm gonna add a property, transform, we'll make another position. I'm gonna crawl into my values and I'm gonna animate the Y position. To do whatever. Just to have a couple of keyframes going on. Okay. So what happened here? My sphere now has an animator component on there, and the control is called sphere. Okay, good. Let's see. Okay. Let me change a little bit the camera position. Okay. All right. Okay. So good. We looked at in the last thing is now we're gonna export the whole thing so we can see how it stands on its own. So we're gonna do that file build and run. So this is now selecting build settings. Let's see. What are my build settings? I have a scene here. I dragged it into my here, so I know what's included in my build. Here I can select all the things I can publish as. I can export this as a game for the Xbox, for the PlayStation, for whatnot, for Android. In this case, I only care about the standalone application for my desktop, my computer, a desktop/laptop. In this case, I'm going to publish for it as a Windows application, a .exe. I'm not clicking anything. I'm fine with whatever. How it is, I'll just select here. This is going to be for PC, Mac, Linux standalone. And now I'm going to hit build and run. It's going to ask me where to put it. I go desktop and say make a new folder, test app, and wait a little bit. Now it compiles. It moves all the things we did into a compilable application. And boom, and it starts. That's it. So we're gonna close that now. Yeah, I can save the Unity project. Save that. Go into my desktop, test app, and here it sits. Okay, this is my folder where my application sits now. Test 3D.exe, and I double click on that one. And boom. Okay, so what did we do here? Okay. So we got introduction to Unity. All right. Okay, we checked out where Unity, where you find it, where can you download it, how you install it. You need to have the hub. The hub you manage your login, and the hub you manage your license, and the hub you manage your installation versions. Remember, good to take the latest LTS. Yeah, you can already play around with Unity 2021, but the latest LTS is 2020. 2020 and 2021 is very similar. Navigation bar looks a little bit different, but the rest is very similar. We looked at the user interface, we looked at scene navigation, game objects, lights, materials, importing assets, animation, build. And we also looked at how to build and run your app. Here's something I recommend if you want to look more into the. Here's a good LinkedIn Learning. You have all access for free to LinkedIn Learning. Here's a very good introduction to Unity, Essential Training 2021. I put the link into the description below. It gives you a good basic introduction to all the key areas of Unity. I recommend you doing that. Good. So let's move on to the quest. The quest is make a scene. In Unity, design a scene, add the following things to a scene, and run your project on your computer. Add an image with alpha. Try to have a PSD file show up in your scene that has alpha. Sprite is the keyword. Throw in a polygon animation that you made with Blender, with Maya, with 3ds Max, with whatever. FBX file format is the key for that. Populate your scene with various game objects, cubes, spheres, capsules, whatnot. Materials, play around with the materials, get different colors going. Then put in some lights, point lights, direction lights, whatever, and make some animations. That's it, static scene. In the next weeks, we look more detail into how can we structure the behavior, how can we make this interactive, how can we manage the relationship, and making this scene be responsive and interactive. All right, good. So this is your quest for you playing around. This concludes the workshop. Check out Unity, is very powerful, has a lot of stuff. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you next week in the classroom. Take care.